Okay, so I'm Stuart George. Yes, I was the CEO at Cambridge Audio. I was actually at Cambridge Audio for 28 years. Can anyone believe that? Yeah, okay. And I was the leader there for 10 years. So I was the MD and then I was the CEO. So I had to lead that organization, and that was a great privilege for me. I really enjoyed it. Unfortunately, no, I didn't own it, so I didn't get the benefit when the business moves on and such like, but there we go. You live and you learn. And now I work as a fractional director. So I'm kind of, again, I was going to make the gag. When you stand next to this chap on the stage, you do realize quite how tall he is, don't you? And I was feeling a little bit, this isn't funny for either of us, but I was feeling like that scene. Do you remember when Boris Johnson and Donald Trump met and they were over in America somewhere? And he goes, he's like Britain's mini Trump. I'm kind of doing mini Andy today. And as I say, I'm going to do a little echo and repeat all that he's been saying because he's done such a good job. But I'm a fractional director, so I'm also a mini strategic, a one-man strategic. I go around into businesses and I try and help them solve their problems. And that's what you guys are doing for all of the businesses that you're working for. You're trying to solve their problems. And many times they probably don't have a clue what their problem is. They just know they want something, most likely to grow their sales, build their business, bigger EBITDA. And the numbers do matter, and they especially matter to them because they're a measure of success. And maybe there's something in their pocket as well. But the numbers are not the be-all and end-all. The numbers are a consequence of everything that you guys are doing. Day in, day out, you're creating value for your clients. And I can say that because I saw that happen for Cambridge Audio. Because I know that the work that you did for us, and again, we'll look at the deck briefly in a minute, made us sound better, look better, and feel better. And the communication that you gave us and the messaging and all the rest of it, tuning up, we fed back into the organization and it propelled us further forward. So the strategy and the messaging and everything that you're doing really matters to these businesses, and you're really good at it. So you should be very proud of what you're doing. Well done, Andy. And these were just the words I wrote down during your little opening monologue this morning that were all the relevant ones that I was going to touch on. And we'll see what we can do about bringing them out about Cambridge Audio. Because when I became the MD 10 years ago, what we had to do was rebuild that business because it was a great company, it had great product, and it had a superb team, but it didn't have any confidence. And so building the confidence in the organization is all important to deliver the right outcomes. And you guys being confident about what you do, being proud of it, and being passionate about what you do is critical to success. Because that's what's going to inspire your clients. And you've got a heck of a job, because you've got to, as I've already said, you've got to understand your clients and your clients' customers even better than they do. And that's no easy task, because half the time, I dare say, the businesses, not only do they not know what their problem is, they probably don't even know what their business, maybe they don't always know what their business plan is, they may not know who their customer is, they certainly don't know how to talk to them. And all of that is so critical. It's absolutely crucial to get that right. And at Cambridge, after you did the work for us, we talked about the fact that we had all the right notes, but they were in the wrong order. And I think you can probably appreciate what that means as well, because when they're in the wrong order, it's going to sound like shite. And actually, that was the problem we were trying to solve. Because in Cambridge Audio, we created a mission, and that was what inspired people and got people out of bed. We created a cause, and our mission was to save the world from shit sound. Sorry, we're all swearing a little bit too much, cussing a bit too much today. But we thought that was a really noble cause. And that motivated all of us because we love good quality audio products, as you might imagine. And so saving the world from products that really give you a tinny, unacceptable presentation of audio is important to us. And it's important to a lot of people. And so that was our cause, and that inspired everybody on the team and got them out of bed in the morning. And it made them feel really proud of what they were doing. And the other thing that you've got to do when you're building that business and building that brand, and again, going back to what Andy was doing this morning, it was a masterclass in this, it's making sure that everybody on the team knows the part that they're playing, knows what they've got to do, knows what the vision is for the business, knows where they're going. And that's what gets you to build a great business. And that's what gets you to create value. And that's what takes you into the future and raises the bar. What a good way of putting it. Raise that bar. And as I say, you raised the bar for Cambridge Audio. So well done. Really enjoyed that. So, as I say, I try and do a little bit of raising the bar, perhaps, myself. Plenty of problem solving with clients. And yeah, that's all of our lives, isn't it? That's where these businesses come from. Every business is trying to solve somebody's problems. So you've got to ask all the questions to find out and get to the root of what's going on in those businesses and try and understand what they're all about and why they're doing it and why anybody should care. Why anybody should care. So yeah, it's not all about the numbers. It's all about the people and what the people do. The numbers are the outcome. The numbers are the result. So that was kind of my little bit. It was a bit of a repeat of Andy. That's a more abbreviated version. I've gone completely off-piste and compressed some of what I was going to say. But I think that's the succinct message. You should be unbelievably proud of what you do, because this place is not normal. Strategic is not a normal business. It's an exceptional business. The sound investment, yeah. So what was happening was we were doing some crowdfunding. And that's what this deck came to represent. But it came about because there was a rebranding going on, didn't it? Charlie and the team had come to you and looked for a rebranding, and then the whole project seemed to move. So there wasn't a fixed brief by any means, was there? And I talked about saving the world from shit sound. It was made a bit more politically correct, perhaps, to enrich lives through music. But again, we really believe that. It's nearly the same thing. Music's really important in people's lives. To me, it's a bit of a religious, I have a religious fervour about music. It's what I choose to do. It's my place of meditation. It's where I go for comfort and safety when I'm at home. I try not to go to the pub. I sit down and listen to a record instead.
And again, coming back to what was the problem and the reposition piece, the initial thinking was around how do we help you go to the crowd world and present we
had all the notes.
Deck. We had all the numbers.
Yeah, we had all the notes, but it didn't sound very good when we came to you.
Yeah.
And you made a big difference for that.
So I will say, if there's anything you're going, oh, we did this in the process, then lean in, because we're just going to have a nice open conversation about the journey.
Like I said, music lovers everywhere are being shortchanged. I'm sorry if that sounds at all insulting. I don't mean it to be insulting, but it's the truth. If you've only ever listened to music on a little boombox thing, which is great for creating an atmosphere in a room and getting a vibe going amongst people, but that's not a listening experience. Listening experience is a different thing, and that of itself is a wonderful thing. Sitting down, listening to everything that's on the record is really good. It's really powerful. So that's why we say that people are being shortchanged. The brand had been around for 50 odd years already by the time we were doing this. So as I said, when I started 10 years ago, we had tremendous heritage, a really brilliant company, a superb team, but we were only proud of what we did, and we didn't go around telling people about it. And it's critical to tell people about it. It's critical to communicate that message. And when you do that, it comes back to you in spades. Don't just listen, feel it. Feel it. That feeling and pulling out the emotion.
Yeah, we did, don't know if we went into deep dive into too much work in terms of client or consumer research. But I think you said we picked out probably most of what was already there. And again, just for context on this, when we're working with clients and we're trying to help them narrate their story and we're trying to say, like, where's the problem, where are we trying to go? Again, coming back to this, how are we going to help the CEO and the founder of the business go to the market and say, we want to raise some more cash? And the easiest thing to do is to look at the EBITDA. And the reason we put this session in and we said we'd have this conversation, was more around, okay, but we've got to frame this journey, and why would people buy it? Like I said earlier, why would investors, when the investor asks why choose strategic, you've got to have something more. You've got to have a meaning. You've got to have something that sits behind the business that everyone can align with.
Yes.
And I love that statement you said earlier around we didn't have the confidence in our business. And I've kind of missed that a little bit in terms of our narrative of why we exist as strategic. Maybe there's some language here that we need to think about moving forward, about our job being to help the clients that we work with have confidence in their business. There's some nice language there that we can kind of lean into to go, that maybe that's the next step or the evolution of our language.
Yeah. Well, you're invited in, much as the way I am, as external perspective to help that business see the wood for the trees, to help them understand where they are. Sometimes it's just putting a mirror in front of their faces, but other times it's really helping them understand the reality of what they're doing. And that is immensely powerful, because when that unlocks in their heads and they're able to put it back into the business, it really moves the business forward. Genuinely. It's important.
Cool.
Yeah, we had a lot of numbers, and those numbers do matter. I think I mentioned a minute ago, I am an accountant as well, so I'm well aware of the numbers being important, but they're not the be-all and the end-all. Investors like them, mind, don't they? The elements of that brand, engineering precision, a democratic brand with something for everybody, and a love of music. And that love of music is the common bond that Cambridge shares with all of the owners of Cambridge products, all of the customers, a love of music. So we had a lot in common with our customers, and we weren't seeing it like that. We were seeing a very them and us. And in fact, part of our problem as a business had been that we thought our customer was the dealer or the distributor, not even the end user. So it's really important that that all gets unlocked along the way, and that's recognized. Understanding who the actual customer is, the end user of the product, vitally important. The confidence that we got, not from this deck, obviously, at this point, but the confidence that we got from rethinking about how we did where our purpose came from, what the cause was, enabled us to be confident enough to go into other markets and take out some of our distributors. So in the USA and in Germany, we took back that distribution and started talking to the customers directly ourselves, because that's so important for a brand to do, to understand who that customer is. You've got to hear it from them, not from the other people in the supply chain, to then strategically go on and expand further. Bring out new categories. Yeah, so if you actually don't know Cambridge Audio, this is some of the stuff that we did or do. Actually, I've stopped saying we. Forgive me, I've fallen back into it in this particular presentation, obviously. Headphones, that was a big push for us, moving into new markets, leveraging what we already had. We had seen that, we had spotted that opportunity, but the hearables actually was a conversation that we had with you guys, and that was really something where you opened our eyes. The hearables market was something that we spotted from conversations that we were having collectively. Have you ever thought about doing hearables? Oh, maybe we haven't. We should think about that. That's maybe one of your 10%ers.
100%, and 100%? That doesn't make sense, does it? 10%. A team align along this, because again, we take some of our work and our thinking for granted. When we were briefed around the investment deck, the easiest thing to do would be to look at where the business is now and not do the kind of market research to go who's doing what. And the competitor analysis was very much around where is this space. And a simple slide and a simplistic bit of thinking or a simple question was, what are you doing in this space? And if the answer is we're not, bang, we've got a 20 or a 10%. And then that goes onto a slide, it goes into, and then all of a sudden you change the angle of a business, you change the direction of a business. Fast forward 2 years, you've got a product in marketplace, or they have a product in the marketplace, narrative. So don't underestimate the power of that conversation and asking the right question at the right time that completely transforms a revenue stream for business. This is what the 10% of the 70, 20, 10 actually means. We didn't get them into DeLorean, I say. That wasn't a conversation that we had, but
we can say you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the DeLorean car. as it were. I don't know quite where they're at with that now. I've lost touch with that, unfortunately, but actually I'm interested to find out now. I'll go and find out again.
No, and I think that the story that we wanted to tell on this is I see loads of investment decks, and we get asked to produce lots of investment decks, but it's nice to get into the front end of that and go, okay, can we influence the content and the messaging? And if you start to layer in for our clients, if we can get in early enough, and one of the messages we said within, if you remember the research around the role of an agency in the 60s and 70s were really to align, get under the skin of a business and ask the right questions, get into the right category. That's what this was about. And I think we have to accept that challenge as no matter where you sit in the agency, whether you're a marketing exec that's coming in or whether or not you sit on the team of directors, I really want us to take this, if we're doing data, if we're doing research, if Gemma or one of the marketing managers asked you to do some insights, think about what it would look like on an investment deck. Does that make sense? Think about how the output could be to go in. Arguably, every one of our QBRs, Brainwave, every one of our QBRs, James, Russ, should be an investment deck. You know, instead of a weather report that they could look like, or used to maybe look like a year or so ago. So maybe everything starts to lean into this. Thanks, Stuart, for giving us that thinking. I'll do the same again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.
It's really hot this idea, isn't it?